and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video I'm going to be talking about child development from birth to 11 months. This is the start of a series of videos I'll be posting about child development at different ages and stages up to age 5. To do this I will be using the Development Matters document. I will link it in the description box below. This kind of gives a guideline of what children should be able to do at certain ages and stages of their development. However, I do really want to stress, especially if there are any parents watching right now, not to get too hung up on these, because children all develop at different rates, and if your child hasn't reached some of these descriptors that I'm about to talk about by 11 months, I don't want you to worry. This really is just a guide, and for any practitioners watching, this is what we look for in our early years provision. So I'm going to be going through the early years foundation stage framework, the prime and the specific areas. Before we get started, don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you can see more videos just like this, and if you do find this video helpful, please give it a like as it really helps out the channel. Prime areas: personal, social and emotional development, making relationships, enjoys the company of others and seeks contact with others from birth, gazes at faces and copies facial movements, for example sticking out their tongue, opening their mouth and widening eyes, responds when talked to, for example moves arms and legs, changes facial expression, moves body and makes mouth movements, recognises and is most responsive to main carer's voice, face brightens, activity increases when familiar carer appears, responds to what carer is paying attention to, for example following their gaze, likes cuddles and being held, calms, snuggles in, smiles, gazes at carer's face, or strokes carer's skin. So it's really important to remember that this is from birth to 11 months. That is a big stretch of time. And so of course we wouldn't expect a newborn to be able to do something that a child can do at 9, 10 or 11 months old. So to encourage this area of development, it's a lot about having that one-on-one time, and especially having that time with special carers. So if a child is in an early years setting, if they're in a nursery, then it's really important for them to have a key person who they can attach to. It's important to be talking to babies and really young children and creating a stimulating environment for them, but also being able to tell when they are overstimulated. So if they start turning away, for example. It's important to engage in playful interactions and also mirror what sounds a baby's making, and really tuning into their needs. So having lots of cuddles, responding quickly to their own cues, and talking to babies and young children about special people in their lives. Personal, social and emotional development, self-confidence and self-awareness. Laughs and gurgles, for example, shows pleasure at being tickled and other physical interactions. Uses voice, gesture, eye contact and facial expression to make contact with people and keep their attention. So it's important to show that you are happy to be with baby so that they feel that you like interacting with them and being near them, and being close by and available so that they feel safe even if they are not in absolute close proximity to you, and doing things like singing made-up songs and responding to baby's actions. They will usually repeat actions that get a really positive response from you. Personal, social and emotional development, managing feelings and behaviour. Is comforted by touch and people's faces and voices. Seeks physical and emotional comfort by snuggling into trusted adults. Calms from being upset when held, rocked, spoken or sung to with soothing voice. Shows a range of emotions such as pleasure, fear and excitement. Reacts emotionally to other people's emotions, for example smiles when smiled at and becomes distressed if hears another child crying. So here it's important to be using processes for calming such as hugging, rocking, and if a child is in an early years setting, it's important for the practitioner and the family to talk about the routines that the child is used to so that you can create a familiar and comforting environment using routines. Communication and language, listening and attention. Turns toward a familiar sound, then locates range of sounds with accuracy. Listens to, distinguishes and responds to intonations and sounds of voices. Reacts in interaction with others by smiling, looking and moving. quietens or alerts to the sound of speech, looks intently at a person talking but stops responding if speaker turns away, listens to familiar sounds, words or finger plays. Fleeting attention, not under child's control, new stimuli takes whole attention. So when encouraging listening and attention in such a young baby, it's important to be physically close, making eye contact, using touch and voice to create that opportunity for a kind of conversation between baby and adult. It's important to use a lively voice, so one that has ups and downs in it to really keep their attention. Sing songs and rhymes, and also encourage playfulness and turn-taking like in games such as peekaboo. Communication and language, understanding. Stops and looks when hears own name. Starts to understand contextual clues, for example, familiar gestures, words and sounds. So of course it's really important to use baby's name, look at them when you're using it and wait for them to respond. This can help them to learn what their own name is and what the appropriate response is to hearing their name. Give meaning to things that babies are interested in, so if they point at something, say what that thing is called. Talk to babies all the time, so talk them through whatever you're doing. If you're making lunch or you're changing their nappy, be talking to them about what you're doing. Using actions to support your words is also wonderful, so waving when you say hello or bye-bye, for example. Using a higher pitched sing-song voice can often make babies respond much more positively, and it's important to repeat particular words so that baby can then gradually start linking words to their meaning. Communication and language, speaking. Communicates needs and feelings in a variety of ways, including crying, gurgling, babbling and squealing. Makes own sounds in response when talked to by familiar adults. Lifts arms in anticipation of being picked up. Practices and gradually develops speech sounds, babbling, to communicate with adults. Say sounds like baba, no, go. So of course babies aren't going to be stringing together sentences. It's important to recognise that babbling and that back and forth communication is very important, and as particular words become very meaningful to that child, it's important for families then to let teachers or early years practitioners know. And of course, talking to a baby in their home language is also extremely important. Physical development, moving and handling. Turns head in response to sounds and sights. Gradually develops ability to hold up own head. Makes movements with arms and legs which gradually become more controlled. Rolls over from front to back, from back to front. When lying on tummy becomes able to lift first head and then chest, supporting self with forearms and then straight arms. Watches and explores hands and feet, for example when lying on back, lifts legs into vertical position and grasps feet. Reaches out for, touches and begins to hold objects. Explores objects with mouth, often picking up an object and holding it to the mouth. So to encourage this area of development, it's important to help babies become aware of their own bodies by shaking their foot or helping them clap, for example, playing games and showing children how to use certain toys, and encouraging babies to start to take over some of the control of the bottle. Physical development, health and self-care. Responds to and thrives on warm, sensitive physical contact and care, expresses discomfort, hunger or thirst, anticipates food routines with interest. So it's important to talk to babies, stroke their cheeks, pat their back, just let them know that they are safe and that you are there. Notice individual baby cues and make sure you're spending that one-to-one time with them. And of course, it's important to be aware of any health issues with the child. Of course, that is very important for any early years practitioners who are caring for the child. Specific areas. Literacy, reading. Enjoys looking at books and other printed material with familiar people. So when you're showing children books or other texts, different pictures, you can use rhyming and songs and different ways of playing around with that to really engage them and support their enjoyment of it. Literacy, writing. So before children are able to write, it's really important that they can develop their communication and language skills. So for children who are 0 to 11 months, we don't have any descriptors for writing. we just go back and focus on the communication and language skills. Mathematics. Numbers. Notices changes in number of objects or images or sounds in groups of up to 3. So for this you can be singing number rhymes with babies and young children and encouraging them to tap or clap along to different rhymes and songs, helping them to notice rhythm. Mathematics. Shape, space and measure. So children's ability to recognise shape, space and measure comes from their sensory skills and the opportunities for sensory interactions. So for this we don't have any specific descriptors for birth to 11 months. We just go back to our physical development and work on those skills. Understanding the world, people and communities. So the very beginning of children understanding people and communities lies within their ability to create relationships, particularly with early attachment. So for this we don't have any descriptors again. We go back to look at personal, social and emotional development and communication and language. Understanding the world. The world. Moves eyes, then head to follow moving objects. Reacts with abrupt change when a face or object suddenly disappears from view. Looks around a room with interest, visually scans environment for novel, interesting objects and events. Smiles with pleasure at recognisable playthings. Repeats actions that have an effect, for example kicking or hitting a mobile or shaking a rattle. See also physical development. So for this it's all about encouraging babies' movements and interacting with them, showing delight in their kicking and waving and also touching their fingers and their toes. Understanding the world, technology. The beginning of understanding technology lies in understanding, exploring and making sense of different objects around them. Playing and exploring is so important for young children. We don't have any descriptors for this for children from birth to 11 months. However, it's important to think about the characteristics of effective learning. If you want to know more about those, I have made a whole video about them. I will link it in the description box below. Expressive arts and design. Exploring and using media and materials. Again, we don't have descriptors for this one for birth to 11 months. The beginning of exploring media and materials lies in exploration of the world around them, so we're looking again at physical development and understanding the world. Expressive arts and design, being imaginative. Again, no descriptors for birth to 11 months, we focus instead on physical development and personal, social and emotional development. As I mentioned earlier, always important to be thinking about those characteristics of effective learning. Again, that is linked below. Okay, so that is the end of our child development from birth to 11 months. As you can see, for some of the areas of the EYFS, there aren't any particular descriptors for birth to 11 months because children are just too young to be able to access that part of learning yet. Particularly the prime areas, the ones I spoke about at the beginning, are the main focus for children of this age. If you'd like to know more about the EYFS and how it works, I have made a video all about that, so I will also link that in the description box below. Do let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you find it helpful to understand these descriptors a bit more if you are a practitioner or a parent, or just someone who's interested in child development? As I said, this is the start of a series where I will be talking about child development up to age 5. The next video in this series will be 8 to 20 months, so you will notice that there is some overlap of ages and stages. But as we go on, more of the areas will kind of open up and we'll get some more descriptors in areas that haven't had any in this video. Do give this video a like if you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.